Hello and a very good evening. You're watching the news at 6 on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates country's longest bridge over Lohit River in Assam. 9.15-kilometer bridge reduces travel time to Arunachal Pradesh from 6 hours to just 1 hour. BJP-led NDA government completes 3 years in power. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says government has initiated concrete steps that have transformed the lives of people. Leaders of 17 opposition parties attend meeting called by Congress President Sonia Gandhi. Parties describe it as a consensus-building exercise to decide the presidential nominee. And former Punjab DGP KPS Gill passes away in Delhi, credited with bringing insurgency in Punjab under control. 82-year-old Gill had served twice as the DGP of Punjab. While kicking off celebrations to mark 3 years of the NDA government, Prime Minister Narendra Modi opened the country's longest river bridge over the Brahmaputra River today. The bridge has been designed to accommodate the movement of tanks, keeping in mind the need for quick movement of troops and artillery to bordering state of Arunachal Pradesh. The Dhola Sadia bridge will reduce travel time between Assam and Arunachal Pradesh by 4 hours.
Marking the third anniversary of the NDA government, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated India's longest river bridge over the Brahmaputra in Assam on Friday. The 9.15-kilometer long bridge has a 3-lane carriageway and connects Sadia town in Assam's Tinsukia district with Dhola village in Arunachal Pradesh. The bridge will reduce travel time between Assam and Arunachal Pradesh from 6 hours to just an hour, besides shrinking the distance by 165 kilometers. Modi dedicated the bridge to the nation, naming it after iconic singer Bhupen Hazarika.
स्थायी रूप से विकास को गति देनी है तो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ये पहली आवश्यकता होती है। फिजिकल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, सोशल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, ये दो पटरी पर संतुलित विकास संभव होता है।
The bridge will improve civilian and military movement to strategic locations all the way to Anini in Arunachal Pradesh, about 100 kilometers from India's border with China. It will also reduce 2 days travel time for the armed forces to reach the border.
अगर हम इस क्षेत्र को एक विश्व स्तरीय इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के नमूने के रूप में तैयार करें तो पूरे साउथ ईस्ट एशिया उसकी इकोनॉमी के केंद्र बिंदु में भारत का यह भूभाग बहुत बड़ी अहम भूमिका अदा कर सकता है।
Launched a decade ago under the UPA government, the bridge is among a series of infrastructure projects fast-tracked by the NDA government since 2014. The Prime Minister also laid the foundation stone for an Indian Agricultural Research Institute in Assam's Dhemaji district and for the first AIIMS in Northeast in Guwahati. The NDA government, led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, was sworn in 3 years ago after it came to power with a massive mandate in the 2014 Lok Sabha elections. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
At the same time, when Prime Minister was inaugurating India's longest bridge in Assam in Delhi, President Pranab Mukherjee and Vice President received a compilation of his radio address Mann Ki Baat and a book on the achievements in the first 3 years of the NDA government. Let's take a look.
It was a unique book release function in New Delhi. The President and the Vice President receiving the first copies of 2 works devoted to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan released the books Mann Ki Baat, A Social Revolution on Radio, and Marching with a Billion, analyzing Narendra Modi's government at midterm at the Rashtrapati Bhavan on Friday. Recognizing Modi as an excellent communicator, President Pranab Mukherjee congratulated him for giving new direction to the economy.
Prime Minister has given a new direction, no doubt. various initiatives which he has taken. Some of the decisions are no doubt epoch-making decisions. And people of India will get the opportunity through the compilation of his Mann Ki Baat.
In his address, Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari cautioned political leaders on using words to express genuine intentions and evoking emotions for good. He said the Prime Minister's experiment using radio was an excellent example of communication strategy.
The two books before us capture important facets of an important personality of our times. Given its sophisticated, multi-level dissemination and its large potential audience, Mann Ki Baat is an ingenious and influential communication platform created by Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. It takes a traditional medium like the radio and marries it to the entire spectrum.
Mann Ki Baat, a social revolution on radio, is written by Rajesh Jain. While Marching with a Billion, analyzing Narendra Modi's government at midterm, is written by eminent journalist Uday Mahurkar.
सबको साथ में ले करके एक राष्ट्र निर्माण की तरफ जो मोड़ा है, सबके भाव साथ में लेके, that is something ये दोनों किताबें कह रही है। ऐसा मुझे लगता है। आप सभी लोगों को बहुत बहुत सबका अभिनंदन करती हूँ और मुझे विश्वास है कहीं ना कहीं अभी तक हम जो चले तो है विकास के राह में, ये नहीं कहती किसी ने कुछ नहीं किया, मगर जो कुछ कोई कर रहा था उसमें एक स्ट्रांगली वी द पीपल ऑफ इंडिया को समाहित करते हुए जो काम हो रहा है उसको मैं सलाम करती हूँ।
Union Finance and Defence Minister Arun Jaitley praised the achievements of the Modi government in the last 3 years' terms. He said words matched the deeds of the government.
The strength was that merely giving an interview to half a dozen television anchors or addressing a ritual of a press conference in Vigyan Bhavan is not the art of communication. They are merely carriers of a message. Do you have the ability to go above their heads and talk to the people directly? Therefore, this experiment of talking directly to the people, he used radio as a medium. He used his political communications as a medium, just as the example of the Dandi Yatra that I gave, used that as a medium, and it proved to be a far more effective medium. And I think these are great lessons we've learned.
At the end of 3 years, most of the speakers felt that communication has been an essential part of the NDA's governance plan, while assigning a key role to the Prime Minister's Mann Ki Baat in shaping emergent political goals. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, Congress President Sonia Gandhi hosted a lunch for leaders of the opposition parties where many rivals put up a united face. Leaders of 17 parties discussed the possibility of fielding a joint candidate for the president to take on the BJP-led NDA's nominee. The meeting is seen as a show of strength by the opposition parties on a day when the NDA government completed 3 years in office. BSP's Mayawati, RJD Chief Lalu Prasad, CPIM's Sitaram Yechury, CPI's D. Raja, DMK's Karnimuri, Omar Abdullah of the National Conference and JDU leader Sharad Yadav were among those who attended the lunch. Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi, former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and senior party leaders like Ahmed Patel, Ghulam Nabi Azad and AK Antony were also present. President Pranab Mukherjee's term ends in July and the ruling BJP-led NDA front is yet to name its candidate for the country's top post. Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi was denied permission to visit Saharanpur for a scheduled visit on Saturday. Rahul Gandhi was scheduled to visit Shabirpur village where Dalit houses were torched on May 5th. Earlier this week, Mayawati had visited the district and blamed the ruling BJP for disrupting law and order. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court turned down an urgent hearing on a petition seeking probe into the violence in Saharanpur. A vacation bench rejected the plea that called for urgent judicial intervention, taking in view the critical situation. The court said there was no urgency and the petition may be heard after the court's summer break. 2 people were killed and 15 others were injured in clashes between two communities after violence broke out in Saharanpur 40 days ago following a procession to mark Ambedkar Jayanti. Well, the wreckage of the missing Indian Air Force Sukhoi 30 fighter jet has finally been spotted after 3 days of search operations. The fighter plane went missing with 2 pilots on Tuesday after taking off from Tezpur Air Base in Assam for a routine training. The wreckage has been found in a heavily forested area about 60 kilometers from Tezpur. The Air Force station is 172 kilometers from the China border. Search parties from the army are trekking to the crash site, but their progress has been slow due to bad weather. Meanwhile, the Air Force has ordered a court of inquiry into the incident. The country's frontline Sukhoi 30 MKI aircraft are inducted, or rather was inducted, in the Tezpur Air Base in June 2009. The deadline to register for the Election Commission's EVM hack challenge ended today, with not a single party coming forward to register for the challenge. The poll body had last Saturday announced that the challenge to hack and tamper with electronic voting machines would take place on June 3rd and the 7th. National and 49 state parties can apply by May 26th to participate in the challenge. However, according to the Election Commission, none of the political parties have registered so far. After the Uttar Pradesh Assembly polls, the BSP and the Aam Aadmi Party had questioned the reliability of the machines. Several opposition parties also urged the Election Commission to revert to paper ballots, saying that the faith of the people in EVMs has eroded. Meanwhile, a demand of the Aam Aadmi Party to allow changing or tampering of the motherboard of EVMs during the challenge was rejected by the Commission. Former DGP of Punjab KPS Gill passed away on Friday after suffering a cardiac arrest in Delhi. He was 82 years old. Gill was admitted at the Sir Gangaram Hospital after he was diagnosed with end-stage kidney failure and a serious heart disease. The IPS officer had served twice as the DGP in Punjab before retiring from the force in 1995. He is widely credited with wiping out militancy in the state. Dubbed Super Cop by the media for his crackdown on Khalistani terrorists, Gill was awarded the Padma Shri in 1989. He was subsequently appointed the president of the Indian Hockey Federation. Several dignitaries, including the Prime Minister, expressed their condolences. Well, here's a roundup of the other developments from across the country and nationwide. The CBI on Friday named former RJD MP Mohammad Shahabuddin as an accused in the Rajya Ranjan murder case. Shahabuddin made an appearance at the Muzaffarpur court through video conferencing. The RJD strongman is the 10th accused in the murder case. Journalist Rajya Ranjan was murdered on May 13th last year. A special Delhi court has adjourned the hearing of ousted AIADMK leader TTV Dinakaran's bail plea in the Election Commission bribery case till May 29th. The Delhi police also asserted that a few more arrests are yet to be made soon. Dinakaran is accused of trying to bribe a poll body official in a bid to retain the 2 leaves symbol of the party for his faction. The centre on Friday banned the sale of cows and buffaloes for slaughter at animal markets across the country. The new regulation is likely to be implemented within the next 3 months. As per the new rule, only farmland owners can trade at markets. The new rule is expected to hurt millions of cattle farmers and reduce supplies to the country's meat industry. Train services on the Gomo-Barkakhana section of East Central Railways were disrupted following a Maoist attack on Thursday night in Jharkhand. The Maoists set fire on a Dumri railway station, an engine and some valuable railway equipment. They also planted 40 can bombs which injured several security personnel. A massive search operation has been launched to track down the Maoists. Congress has emerged as the single largest party in Bhiwandi and Malegaon, whereas BJP has got a clear mandate in Panvel in the Maharashtra municipal polls held on May 24th. As per latest reports, BJP has won 51 out of the 78 wards in Panvel. In Malegaon, Congress has won 28 out of the 84 wards. Now, NCP has also maintained its stronghold by winning 20 wards, while the BJP is placed fourth, managing to get just 9 seats. In Bhiwandi, the Congress has won 46 of the 90 seats. It's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
This centre really will drive many new initiatives in many areas of science. We do have some institutes of excellence throughout the country, and TIFR is one, but they're not enough. I think the laboratory approach is essential in order to promote the idea of tinkering.
Watch Eureka with Professor Mustansir Verma, Emeritus Professor at TCI-STIFR Hyderabad, only on Rajya Sabha television. Gyan Chopper is the ancient version of Indian snakes and ladders. This intriguing game was popular among the old, the young, and the rulers as well. The chopper has its origin in the Jain philosophy. It tells the story of virtue, symbolized by the ladders, rewarded, while the vices shown by the snakes are punished. Each square, in turn, also narrates a message of wisdom.
Art arisen from a multi-hued cultural canvas. Tradition and cultural fervour dating back centuries. And encircling them all, there's a magic that awes. Embrace your nation's brilliant human warmth. Watch Colours of India, Sundays at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, the two-day G7 meet began in the Italian town of Sicily on Friday. Leaders of the world's richest nations will discuss the issues of terrorism, trade and global economy and climate. The contentious issue of Paris climate deal will be discussed over 2 days as the G7 leaders try to convince US President Donald Trump not to pull out of the deal.
Leaders of G7 nations met in the Italian city of Sicily, where a two-day summit began on Friday. On the first day, the leaders held talks on subjects including terrorism, trade and climate change, as well as the situation in Syria and North Korea. This year's summit is expected to be robust and challenging due to the differences between leaders on certain issues.
There's no doubt that this will be the most challenging G7 summit in years. It is no secret that leaders who are meeting today sometimes have very different positions on topics such as climate change and trade. But our role as the EU is to do everything to maintain the unity of the G7 on all fronts.
The most contentious issue is the Paris climate deal. US President Donald Trump, who dismissed human-made global warming as a hoax during his election campaign, is threatening to pull the United States out of the 2015 deal. But fellow G7 leaders are trying to convince him to stay in.
Well, Donald Trump, President Trump has called into question the U.S. commitment to the Paris Agreement, a historic agreement in which 195 countries have charted a new path towards addressing climate change. The other G6 leaders need to stand strong, they need to stand firm, and they need to ensure that the communique and the outcomes from this summit are a clear reaffirmation of the Paris Agreement.
On the eve of the summit, Trump also lambasted NATO allies for not spending much on defense and condemned German trade policies. On the sidelines of the summit, Trump raised concerns over the threat posed by North Korea, while Theresa May called for leading the fight against terrorism.
Particular focused on the North Korea problem. It's a big problem, it's a world problem, and it will be solved. At some point, it will be solved.
The G7 consists of Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the UK and the US. The EU also has representatives. Trump is attending his first major international summit, but he is not the only G7 newcomer. French President Emmanuel Macron, Italian Prime Minister Paolo Gentiloni and British Prime Minister Theresa May are also attending the elite club for the first time. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, in a blow to US President Donald Trump, the US Appeals Court refused to reinstate his travel ban on people from 6 Islamic nations. The court described Trump's executive order as discriminatory, saying that the order used vague words of national security, but in context actually dripped with religious intolerance. The appeals court also questioned the government argument that the president had wide authority to halt the entry of people to the United States. The Trump administration said it will appeal against the decision in the Supreme Court. Trump had signed the executive order twice for the travel ban, saying it was needed to guard against terrorist attacks. But both times the US appeals court put it on hold. Here's a roundup of the other international news in Global Buzz. Election campaign in Britain has resumed days after it was suspended following the Manchester attack. The Labour Party and UKIP restarted their national campaigns on Friday. UKIP announced its policy pledges and criticized Prime Minister Theresa May's record on security. Meanwhile, one more person has been arrested in connection with the attack. Greece's former Prime Minister Loukas Papademos was injured when an explosive device hidden in an envelope detonated inside his car in central Athens. He was taken to the hospital with his driver, who was also hurt. Papademos' injuries are not life-threatening. No one has claimed responsibility for the attack so far. Hundreds of residents left the southern Philippine city of Marawi to find a safer place outside as government troops continued to clash with Islamic militants. The city has been under attack since Tuesday to capture Islamic militants. 46 people, including 11 security forces and 31 rebels, have been killed in the violence. President Rodrigo Duterte has declared martial law across the southern part of the nation. Let's now shift focus and bring you up to speed with some news from the world of sports and Sports Beat. India's campaign at the Sudhirman Cup ended after they went down 0-3 against top seed China in the quarterfinals of the Mixed Team Championship. In the men's singles, India's K. Srikanth was defeated by Olympic champion Chen Long. The mixed doubles pair of Ashwini Ponnappa and Ranki Reddy were beaten by world number 2 pair of Lu Kai and Huang Yaqiong. Czech tennis player Petra Kvitova has been included in the draw for the French Open. Kvitova has not played competitively since she was attacked during a burglary at her home last December. She will be seeded 15th in the tournament. Kvitova's opponent in the first round will be US player Julia Boserap. Cleveland Cavaliers forward LeBron James moved past Michael Jordan as the leading scorer in the NBA playoff history. James entered Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Final against the host Boston Celtics, needing 28 points to surpass Jordan, but finished with 35 points on the night to total 5,989 career NBA playoff points so far. Well, that's it on this newscast. Have a good evening.